Hello friends, today I'm going to debunk some misconceptions, slander, and myths about power scaling. Some are misconceptions within the power scaling community, some are misinformation spread by power scaling haters. Today, we'll debunk them all. 1. No limits fallacy is extremely effective. NLF is a popular and misunderstood concept. Let me start by saying that the no limits fallacy is a very functional and useful fallacy. The real problem is that some people apply it to fictional characters with cosmological and philosophical strengths. For example, things like transcending all fictional characters or destroying fiction are considered NLF. Fiction is already a real and formal concept, just like mathematical theories and philosophy. So using no limits fallacy in those cases is partially flawed. I say partially because transcending fiction is like to transcending all possible worlds. Transcending fiction is a statement that can be at least one T and at most nio. It's not something that can be exaggerated. If he doesn't present it cosmologically and says he'll just defeat everyone, then it falls under the no limits fallacy. But calling it OD is an exaggeration. Because if the character can already move like a human, he's at least 10C. Even if the no limits fallacy is to be used on a character, that character's cosmology should be less detailed or non-existent, and they should be spoiled. However, even if the tier is lowered, a 1T or high 1T will suffice. It's not necessary to count 1 or 11C. Most Wikiverses don't include this, because most of Wikiverses have a high level of mathematics and philosophy. For a character to be considered NLF, they must claim to be able to directly defeat everyone without using any concept's influence. In other words, there are flaws on both sides. NLF can be used, but it shouldn't be exaggerated, because many characters claim to be NLF aren't even NLF. Not all, of course. 2. OC fallacy is a rule of power scaling. The OC fallacy is a fallacy that simply can't be understood properly. Let me tell you why. The fallacy is universal. It deals with logic, not constraints. Analysis and philosophy are at the forefront. For example, refuting exaggerated generalizations, undermining unsubstantiated arguments, or dismantling flawed induction. The OC fallacy, on the other hand, involves scaling a fictional character based on their intended purpose, which is wrong. The OC fallacy actually commits multiple fallacies simultaneously: ad hominem, guilt by association, and the genetic fallacy. Furthermore, those who defend the OC fallacy shouldn't say things like, "This kind of power scaling wouldn't be fair, it would be absurd scaling," because such things fall under the appeal to emotion fallacy. Your feelings, emotions, and tastes can't change knowledge. So, clearly, the OC fallacy is a fallacy created out of arbitrary design. If you truly don't want to scale and rank universes like Wikiverses, at least ignore it, but even then, you wouldn't be consistent. Some people think that the OC fallacy is a rule. This is wrong. Power scaling has no owner. The community is self-governing and has developed its own rules and techniques. For something to be a rule, it must be written down somewhere. There must be penalties for breaking it, and there must be a basis for it. If people can easily pursue their careers without following a rule, it's not a rule at all. 3. Power scaling involves disrespect for religion. This has been misunderstood by some religious groups. Power scaling doesn't disrespect any religion. In fact, it's beneficial. It's possible to understand religion and God better with power scaling. Learning and studying knowledge in religions is encouraged. Power scaling isn't problematic from a religious perspective. On the contrary, it's beneficial and beautiful. 4. Scaling religious characters is disrespectful and cannot be scaled. This is a common misconception. I've created a specific fallacy for this. Don't worry, this fallacy is completely logical and universal. Religious fallacy. Okay, so what is a religious fallacy? A religious fallacy is simply assuming that a fictional character, simply because they carry a religious term, name, or something similar, is unscalable, overpowered, or disrespectful. In other words, it's a logical fallacy. Rest assured, there's no difference between a character named God, and a character named a religious deity. A character bearing a religious name can't actually affect scaling. The character's tier remains the same. Religious names are frequently used in universes like World of Darkness and DC, but this is still scalable. When creating a fictional universe, whether it's a cartoon, an animated film, or a book universe, you either create a fictional universe or create a fictional version of something. So, yes, even religious cartoons for educational purposes can be scalable. There's no disrespect in this, and those who claim there is have no basis or proof. Now, some might say things like, they can do anything, but tiers like outerversal, boundless, transcendent, and apeiron already exist for those kinds of things. Simply put, whether a fictional character has a religious name or term or not doesn't change anything. Saying that fictional universes containing religious concepts can't be scaled is a religious fallacy. 5. All omnipotent fictional characters are equally powerful. This is very common. All omnipotent fictional characters have different cosmology. The one with the greater and stronger cosmology is the stronger one. Differences can be found by examining cosmology, statements, and feats. The most compelling evidence that tier O fictional characters are not equally powerful is this. Take a tiering system containing tier 0, add new extended tiers, and create your own tiering system. You'll be able to distinguish omnipotent fictional characters more easily. Now, some PSW and VSW fans will say, beyond tier 0 is impossible. No, if you take the same tiering system and add a few more tiers, you'll inevitably achieve beyond tier 0. The claim that beyond tier 0 is impossible stems from those who created it. Taking their claim seriously is a fallacy called appeal to authority. 6. The power scaling community is toxic. I've debunked this before. All the rumors that power scaling is toxic are false. The power scaling community is not toxic and is awesome. Watch the video where I debunk power scaling haters. 7. Power scaling is a fandom. No, power scaling is not a fandom. While fandom is a place for fans, power scaling is a community built on logic, analysis, and research. While it may include some aspects of fandom, that doesn't make it a fandom. That would be overgeneralizing. There are many things that distinguish power scaling from fandoms. 8. Real people absolutely beat all fictional characters. This is a profound misunderstanding. I created a specific fallacy for this, similar to a religious fallacy. Real fallacy. What is real fallacy? Real fallacy is the fallacy of those who believe that a person or concept is automatically stronger than all fictional ones just because it's real. Power is power. Power scaling is power scale. Real or fictional doesn't change the tier. Me simply ask you a question. Can you destroy the universe? Yes or no? I don't want another answer. Your answer is certainly no. So can Goku destroy the universe? Yes. Then Goku is stronger than you. Power scaling already works with the logic of if two characters were in the same place. Saying things like, if Saitama and I were in the same place, inevitably creates a fictional scenario, and I say fictional. You're a normal person, and that's how you would be in the scenario. If scaling real things or comparing them to fiction were absurd, what if? Questions would also be absurd. Scenarios and hypotheses would also be absurd, because all four operate with the same logic. Real fallacy, like no limits fallacy, is clear, universal, and logical. If two entities are in the same place, their types are irrelevant. If you want to show that a real person wins in versus videos, at least indicate in parentheses that the RF logic is used. Otherwise, it will be a real fallacy. 9. Authored characters are omnipotent and defeat fiction. Actually, someone already refuted this. But I'll say something more and then show the video. First of all, just because a fictional character is a writer, actor, or similar person, doesn't make the tier boundless. Things like fiction, feats, and cosmology do. The rest doesn't matter. The sentence falls into both real fallacy and author's authority fallacy. I've explained the real fallacy to you. Now, let's watch the video explaining the author's authority fallacy. It was made by Project FM. I will put the link to his channel in the description of this video. In this video, we are going to talk about a fallacy regarding characters who are made to be the representation of the author of the story. Characters like the one above all from Marvel and the writer from DC are the prime examples for this topic. People mistake these characters as the real author and argue that these characters can defeat all fictional characters due to the obvious fact of reality beating fiction. But while scaling, we don't do that. We consider every character's power levels based on their actual scale with feats, cosmology, and other factors resulting in increase or decrease of scale. Hence, these characters won't be granted the author authority factor outside of their own verse, as these characters don't have any control of other characters outside of their verse. Moreover, they are only representation of the author and not the author themselves, so they are fictional characters and not the real-life person themselves. So, they are not invincible. 10. Fanon characters can never be scaled. It's a common misconception. No matter what fictional character, if they have feats, cosmology, or statements, they can be scaled. The character's type is irrelevant. This is obviously arbitrary. Deciding whether a character can be scaled based on their type is arbitrary, not logical. This similarly falls under guilt by association and genetic fallacy. No matter what fictional character, their type doesn't affect their tier. For a character to be OD, they must be at that point. Otherwise, scaling would be inconsistent and incorrect. If they're human or animal-like, they must be at least 10C. This applies to any fictional character. Thanks for watching this far. There may be a part 2 of this, but we've covered the common and popular ones.